Hello, Crichton again. Uh, yes, I've missed you for this week, but I thought this week on the Curiosity Club, this is episode 5, by the way, Can Forgotten Things Remember Us? I thought, to start with, I'd read you an extract, or excerpt, is it? Oh, something like that, from the first Wilberforce and Mayhew adventure, which is called The Harp That Wouldn't Play. So, let me just read that to you, and then we can go on with the challenge. Yeah, let me find my place. Yes. Chapter 1. The Admirable Crichton. Yes, that's me. Uh, Wilberforce was a dreamer. He has been a dreamer since I first met him. Before we go any further, I think that I should be introduced. I'm Crichton, Wilberforce's friend and the most important grasshopper in the whole garden. I must stress that I am a grasshopper, not a cricket. These things are often very, very important. You may already be wondering who Mayhew is. Well, I shall tell you all about him shortly. First, we must talk about my friend Wilberforce, whose dreaming more often than not got us all into trouble. I recall with some clarity that only a few days ago Wilberforce was in his favourite place, curled up under a lemon tree in the garden, snoozing quietly and keeping cool in the shade. He was dreaming. I knew he was dreaming because a waterfall had appeared at the bottom of the garden. This always happens when Wilberforce dreams and leads to trouble and danger. Well, not always. But anyway, I must get on with the story. We often have exciting adventures, meet fantastical friends, and spend many hours in the land beyond the waterfall, the land of dreams, Halcyon, where Mayhew lives. Wilberforce arched his back, stretched his legs, and with his eyes still firmly closed, cocked his head back and yawned. Slowly he opened one of his bright green eyes and looking straight at me, said quietly, "Are you coming for a walk, Crichton?" Whenever this young black and white cat said this to me, I always felt empty in the pit of my stomach. I think my cheeks flushed. If your grasshopper's cheeks can flush, I don't know. And Wilberforce chuckled mischievously to himself as my big hind legs clicked together nervously. It was always the same before we went behind the waterfall. I got a little shaky, and my glasses steamed up, much to Wilberforce's amusement. He always made me feel calm after a few minutes of chuckling and joking about my back legs and how I always pulled out my fine silk handkerchief from my tweed waistcoat and huffed and spluttered while I cleaned my foggy spectacles. Wilberforce always saw the funny side of things, and I like to think that he would never make me go behind the waterfall unless I really wanted to, despite being slightly nervous about it. On this particular day, I seem to remember that it was hot. Yes, it was, in fact, downright scorching. I had been reclining in the high branches of the lemon tree for an hour before Wilberforce had dropped with great agility and poise off the wall of his human's house and threaded his way silently towards his favourite early morning snoozing spot. "Good afternoon, Crichton. You were very noisy last night. My human said that you woke them at least twice." "Impudent young scamp," I replied, with such unmatched indignation as I could muster. "That's Archibald and his friends that make all that racket. I'm a grasshopper, not a cricket, as you know only too well. I must add, too, that you're very cheeky." I wasn't really upset. Wilberforce managed to tease me somehow, or, well, he did it every morning. It was his way of letting me know he was thinking about me. "Good morning, Wilberforce," I said as I hopped high into the air, landing, if I may say so, without a sound, and right next to my cheeky young friend, who was at that moment curling himself into a ball, ready for another of his long sleeps. As I have said already, when Wilberforce dreams, the waterfall appears. He'd only been asleep for 10 minutes when I heard water crashing into a deep pool only 20 yards in front of me, where the orange tree usually is. Wilberforce was awake and needed to go behind the waterfall for more adventure. "I would be honoured to accompany you," I responded to his question. "Perhaps this time it will be nothing more than a nice walk." I was trying to sound convincing, but I don't think I was too successful. "We shall have to find Mayhew, and then we will know what is in store for us," said Wilberforce with a beaming smile. There, that's the end of the first chapter of the first book in the Wilberforce and Mayhew adventure series, The Harp That Wouldn't Play. I do hope you can read it for yourself one day. Now, back to the Curiosity Club. Can forgotten things remember us? Let me see. Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Crichton here, as you know, scholar, collector of peculiar objects, and accidental owner of 17 mismatched notebooks, all of which insist on being very important. So, tonight's question for you all. Can forgotten things remember us? That's an unusual thought, certainly. After all, we imagine forgetting as something that happens inside people. A memory fades, a name disappears, a place becomes distant. But what if forgotten things are not entirely gone? What if old objects, old songs, old letters, old paths through forests remember us long after we have stopped remembering them? A curious possibility, yes, indeed. Now, the life of old things. Have you ever opened an old drawer and suddenly remembered something you had not thought about for years? It could be a smell, it could be a photograph, a ticket stub, a tiny object that seemed meaningless until the moment you held it again. Yes, very strange, isn't it? Human beings believe they store memories inside their minds, but I suspect memories also live quietly inside the world itself. In books, in rooms, in melodies, in places where laughter once happened. Perhaps forgotten things wait patiently, hoping to be noticed again. Now, little story. This is the memory shop in Halcyon. There is a little shop hidden between two alleyways that do not always agree on where they are. Inside are shelves filled with forgotten things, lost buttons, half-written poems, old compasses, my favourite, broken watches, letters that were never delivered. The shopkeeper claims that every object remembers something about the person who once loved it. Wilberforce once found a tiny wooden whistle there. The moment he touched it, he suddenly remembered an afternoon from years earlier. Sunlight through the lemon tree, grass moving in the wind, someone laughing nearby. He stood perfectly still for nearly a minute afterwards, which was saying something. Mayhew said this was emotionally suspicious, but even he looked thoughtful. Right, tonight's curiosity challenge is this. If one forgotten object from your life could speak, what would it say about you? Would it remember happiness and joy? Would it remember adventure? Or would it be loneliness? Would it be kindness? Perhaps more importantly, what forgotten thing would you most like to find again? Yes, very good. Yes. Well, what about if forgotten things do remember us in their own quiet way? Not magically, well, not exactly, because every life leaves the traces behind it. A chair worn smooth, a favourite book with folded corners, a path walked many times. There's proof that someone was here. There's proof that someone mattered. And perhaps that is why old things can sometimes make us emotional without warning. They remind us of what our lives became part of the world around us, even after moments have passed. Well, now, yes, the rain is starting to get heavier outside, and I believe Wilberforce actually organised the archive by biscuit preference again. That's a disastrous system. If you have thoughts about tonight's mystery, please leave them below. As always, I'll be delighted to hear from them. And if I can, I'll reply. Until next time, stay curious, think differently. And if you ever discover something long forgotten, handle it gently. It may still be carrying somebody's story. Good night. And remember, Di-Fanteriabooks.com is where you'll find all of the Wilberforce and Mayhew adventures. Narrated by me, Crichton. Yes, and good night.